I know that my post yesterday freaked a lot of people out. The post about how the World Health Organization has classified birth control as a known carcinogen, a group 1 carcinogen, which is in the same class as asbestos and radium. Yeah, pretty terrifying. And I know that a lot of women have turned to birth control to resolve their menstrual problems, irregularities, and to reliably, reduce the chances of unplanned pregnancy. So today I want to tell you that you can be your own birth control. There are 3 signs of ovulation that we can look for to know if we are ovulating. And ladies, we're only fertile 6 days out of the month. So why are we taking a pill or some kind of hormonal birth control that shuts down our reproductive system every day when we are only fertile 6 days out of the month? And these days produce symptoms that we can look to and signs that can let us know that it's maybe not a safe time if you're trying to avoid unplanned pregnancy. So we're gonna get into it today. Let's get started. First off, why have so many women not heard about fertility awareness method, also known as FAM? Well, the reason is because our medical system doesn't make money off of us knowing our bodies and being able to naturally predict our cycle and our ovulation. So they convince us that we need this little pill to shut down our reproductive system in order to avoid unplanned pregnancy. But there are many, many women out there who have been able to track their cycle reliably, consistently every month to avoid this small window where pregnancy can happen. So, ladies, you don't need the pill. You don't need hormonal birth control in order to avoid unplanned pregnancy. I am proof of that. My clients are proof of that, and women everywhere are proof of that. But it's just not being talked about. So, the 3 signs of ovulation. Cervical mucus is number 1. And that is that fluid that will appear during the 6-day window that we are fertile every month. Now, about this window, there's only 1 day that we ovulate. And it's 5 days prior to that we have this cervical mucus appearing, and it changes the pH of our vagina and really allows the sperm to live there and stay there for those 5 days, so that on the day of ovulation they can swim up to that egg and fertilize it. Other times of the month, we are not fertile because the pH of our vagina is naturally acidic, and it is too acidic for sperm to survive. So it's gonna kill it off, and our cervix is not open, so there's no chance for it to fertilize that egg. So we can look at these signs during the 6-day window to know that we are ovulating and that we need to use a second form of natural birth control, withdraw condoms, or just abstain during this period to reliably avoid unplanned pregnancy. So, cervical mucus is number 1, and this is different from like arousal fluid in that, ladies, it's clear and it's white, and if you have it between your fingers and you stretch it, it's going to be like stretchy, and it's going to create like little oh gosh, I don't know. You know what I'm talking about, how you can pull it and it's like stretchy. And that is our peak cervical mucus. Now we have peak cervical mucus, so if you're trying to get pregnant, this is prime baby making time. Get it on and do your thing. There's also non-peak mucus, where this is white and it's a little bit cloudier and it doesn't stretch like our peak mucus will stretch, like between our fingers. And so these are signs that we are ovulating, and these fluids that we produce are incredibly important health markers. These are biofeedback our body is giving us to let us know that we are ovulating, which is a sign of health, which is not happening for women who are on hormonal birth control. Unfortunately, we're missing out on a lot of this magic. But also, when we understand these fluids, then we can reliably know if like, oh, something is off, if the color is off, if there's a smell to it, if it's like watery, and if it's happening during your entire 28-day cycle, that is your body communicating to you that maybe there's an infection present. And we don't have to wait for that pap smear, that annual pap smear once a year, to know if something is off with the balance of our vagina. So it's an incredibly powerful tool that can help us to take care of ourselves more effectively. So cervical mucus, we really want to watch for that around the time of ovulation. That is how we can know whether or not that sperm can survive and swim up to our egg. The next sign of ovulation is our basal body temperature, BBT, and they have special fertility thermometers that are extra specific so that we can see this little spike in our body temperature that happens during ovulation. And so this is the warmer part of our cycle. When we are tracking that, there are apps and these Bluetooth thermometers that are amazing, and we can see on a chart when that spike occurs. And that is just another way to know if we have ovulated. Third is our cervical position. So if you've ever felt your cervix, it actually changes. And when we're ovulating, it is softer and it is more open. It is also going to be higher up in our vagina than during our non-ovulatory times of our cycle. During our non-ovulatory cycles, it is going to be harder and it is not going to be open, and it might sit a little bit lower, especially around the time of menstruation. So these are changes. You can go up and you can feel those changes to your cervix. You can see the cervical mucus. You can monitor your basal body temperature and track that to know if you are ovulating. And another amazing way to know when we're ovulating, you just feel it. You feel like creative and energized and sexy, and your libido, it's up there. You just feel more wet in general down there. Like lots of amazing things are happening around this time of our cycle. And unfortunately, women don't get to experience this when they are on hormonal birth control. We don't get to understand these natural rhythms, and that's why we don't really realize how obvious it is when we are ovulating. But when you tune into the cycle, it is incredibly obvious and easy to avoid unplanned pregnancy for that reason. Our cycle is also amazing because it is aligned with the lunar cycle. So a lot of women are ovulating around the full moon. Light exposure influences our cycle. And then our menstrual cycle often happens around the new moon. So this is why, people talk about being a little wild and crazy around the full moon, because women who are ovulating are producing these pheromones that are just intoxicating to men, makes us just so magnetic. So like ladies, if you're ovulating and you're at the gym, guys are probably going to be following you around and maybe bothering you a little bit more. They're going to be drawn to you because of these pheromones that you are producing. Your partner is going to want to be touching you, holding you, and you attract everything towards you. And this is why I really want to communicate the importance of finding and really exploring these natural birth control options, because they are completely reliable, like 99.7% reliable when done correctly. When you're monitoring the cervical mucus and the basal body temperature, it is 99.7% reliable. And then that cervical position is just an added layer to understand if you're ovulating. And so, yeah, it is very easy to predict. It is very easy to avoid unplanned pregnancy. And, again, our doctors are not promoting natural fertility awareness method because it's free. You can get the thermometer and the app and everything, which will cost you a little bit, a one-time cost. But yeah, it's free, and that is a threat to our modern medical system. Just like dietary interventions and lifestyle interventions are a threat to our modern medical system and big pharma. They don't make money off of healthy people. They make money off of sick people. And so they give us these solutions like birth control, which ends up creating a whole host of other problems for us. So we have to go back and then we get another prescription for this symptom that is presenting because of the last prescription. And it's a vicious cycle, and it goes on and on. I've been a part of it, and I saw what was happening, and I just said, fuck this, I am done. I know I can take care of myself. I know that all of these things are clouding the symptoms and the natural messages that my body is giving me so that I can take care of myself. And that was absolutely the truth. I got rid of these things, and these diagnoses, these diseases I had, they just happened to disappear, believe it or not. And this is possible for everyone. We have these amazing natural healing powers. Our bodies are brilliant and designed impeccably. And once we clear away the bullshit, stop eating toxins and stop putting toxins on our body, and we move and we improve our circulation. If anyone is having like rashes or issues with their fingers or toes right now, I had a doctor try to tell me that I had Raynaud's disease. But I knew deep down at my core that I was moving less, to be honest. I was being more stagnant. I wasn't getting to the gym. I was stuck in a rut. And that's what my intuition was telling me. It was like, move more, get outside, get that blood flowing. But I was ignoring that. And the result was these symptoms presenting. And I went against my intuition again, went to a doctor to see what they had to say. They tried to give me this diagnosis, which had these prescriptions associated with it. And I said, fuck that. I'm gonna trust my gut. And I started getting in the gym again. I started doing my yoga in the morning. I started stretching at night. Sure enough, all of the symptoms disappeared. So that little thing, that little voice in the back of your head that's telling you what you need, listen, because our bodies, again, are so intelligent, and only we know what we need. So ladies, if you are feeling this disconnect with your body, you're having these symptoms presenting, fatigue, irritability, if you just feel like your libido has completely gone MIA, you just feel low, like your mood is just like blah, you don't feel like yourself, your weight is creeping up, doesn't matter what you do, but that extra 10, 20 pounds is just still sticking around. These are all symptoms of being on birth control and having these synthetic hormones building up in our system and not experiencing the magic of our 28-day cycle. So trust your intuition. Those symptoms don't have to present themselves. The things that got you on birth control in the first place, like the acne, like the painful, heavy periods, those are really caused by our lifestyle choices. And if we take back our lifestyle and we transform that and take care of ourselves, starting with good nutrition, then none of that will reappear. It does not have to come back with a vengeance. And you can transition off birth control confidently with all of these tools to help you reliably predict when you're going to ovulate and avoid unplanned pregnancy and eliminate all of those frustrating symptoms that are keeping your relationship stuck in a rut, keeping your career, just keeping you unsatisfied in general. All of these things can be resolved when you get back to yourself and take care of yourself. So I hope that this video is helpful if you're kind of on the fence about birth control. Unfortunately, some women, after getting on birth control, after being on it for years and sometimes decades, they don't see ovulation return. They don't see their period return. But this is that part of the consent. We didn't really experience the true informed consent when we were put on birth control. We weren't told about the increased risk of breast cancer, the fact that it can cause any kind of cancer, uterine cancer, the fact that it can compromise our fertility, reduce our chances of conceiving naturally. We aren't told these things. And so I don't bring this information to you guys to scare you, but there should be true informed consent when it comes to hormonal birth control because it is harming women. The benefits of birth control are not lost on me, but I personally believe that the risks, the costs of being on hormonal birth control far, far outweigh the benefits. And I think that these benefits we perceive are really because we lack knowledge and information about our body. And all of that can be gained through some new curiosity and gaining knowledge. Knowledge is power. So thank you guys so much for listening, and trust your gut.